Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back with another video today. And the Philadelphia Eagles have beat the Baltimore Ravens 16-13 in the preseason. And after the Baltimore Ravens did not lose a preseason game for 7 straight seasons, and I know preseason doesn't matter, but to not lose a preseason game for 7 seasons, I know preseason doesn't matter, but that's impressive. That's impressive. And you got to assume a lot of those games, especially with the Ravens, having good teams with Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson through the last 7 years, a couple of those games, or maybe a good chunk of those games, no starters playing, just like there were no starters playing in tonight's game, although that ended in a loss for the Baltimore Ravens, and they have now lost their 3 straight preseason games. Could you imagine if after winning every single preseason game for 7 years, now for 7 years they lose every preseason game? That would be hilarious. I think that's definitely not going to happen, but it would be hilarious. Maybe football gods have, cursed them after giving them a preseason blessing. I know it's all preseason, this doesn't matter, but when neither teams or starters are playing, you got to make some fun out of it, I guess. But 16-13 is the final score. We're going to go over the scoring summary. There wasn't a lot of scoring in the first half at all, you could say. First quarter, Justin Tucker, really, one of the only cool things about this game was watching 2 of the best kickers in football go at it with Justin Tucker and Jake Elliott. They really are. I mean, Justin Tucker is the best kicker in football. I would say Jake Elliott's right there up with him. He did some impressive things in 2023. I don't know if I'd call him the second best kicker in the NFL, but I definitely think he's top 3, top 4 kicker in the NFL, and it is right there with Justin Tucker. Obviously, I don't think anyone's at Tucker's level, but Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in the NFL. But I guess that's an interesting part of this game. But Justin Tucker hits a 46-yard field goal to make it a 3-0 game. But something I really enjoyed seeing the highlights of this game is Kenny Pickett throwing a 7-yard touchdown pass to Will Shipley. Not more the Kenny Pickett part of things. Want to believe in Kenny Pickett. I've just done too much believing in Pittsburgh for him. But someone I do believe in is Will Shipley with the Philadelphia Eagles as a running back from Clemson, who I watch at Clemson. Got to watch Clemson a little bit last year. He really, really does a great job in the backfield. He did some impressive things in this game in the backfield that I will go over, but even showed his ability to be a pass guy as well, being a running back who is involved in the pass game as well, and had a 7-yard reception touchdown in this game thrown by Kenny Pickett. And as I was absolutely praising Jake Elliott, he missed the extra point. So it's 6-3. Justin Tucker makes a 21-yard field goal in the second quarter. That makes it a 6-6 ball game, and we're tied going into halftime at 6. Then Lou Nicholas has a 2-yard touchdown run. Jake Elliott finally makes the extra point. It's 13-6. And then how about this? Rookie quarterback from Kentucky, who was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, Devin Leary, has a 1-yard touchdown run. His first year since they lost Tyler Huntley from who's been their backup quarterback for the last couple of years. So they're gonna miss their backup quarterback, and maybe they just drafted their backup quarterback because Devin Leary did not look bad in this game at all. 13-13 after that touchdown score, but Jake Elliott, game winner, 49-yard field goal for the win to win this game and make it 16-13. Let's go over game leaders. Kenny Pickett threw 14 for 22, 89 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. Josh Johnson, who's played for about everybody, threw 4 for 12 for 62 passing yards, while former running back for Georgia, Kendall Milton, had 9 carries for 39 rushing yards, leading for Philadelphia. Owen Wright for Baltimore had 7 carries for 33 rushing yards. Receiving yards, John Ross, he's a guy who has a bunch of speed, but was drafted 5th overall by Cincinnati, but is one of the biggest wide receiver busts of all time. Had 3 receptions for 28 receiving yards. I mean, he could have a chance to make this roster. I think a big disappointment for Philadelphia was, bringing in Devontae Parker from the Patriots, and then he retires. So there could be an opening for John Ross. We'll see what happens because they lost Quez Watkins to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got the pleasure to watch him out there tonight going up against my Texans, and it was a pleasure to watch him because he fumbled. But he was basically their third wide receiver last year, and they lost him. They replaced him with Devontae Parker from the Patriots. He retired. So I guess there was a little bit of an opening for John Ross, you could say, but I doubt they pick him as the wide receiver 3 in that lineup. I think the Eagles could go after who we just got to get cut by the Patriots. Maybe go after another Patriots wide receiver. Just hope this one doesn't retire. And Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think he'll retire, though. But for the Ravens, they were led in receiving yards by Dayton Wade, a wide receiver, with 4 receptions with 27 receiving yards. Let's go over some other stats in this game. For the Eagles, other quarterback passing, Tanner McKee, who they drafted last year in the draft, threw 6 for 16 with 39 passing yards. Devin Leary, I really liked what I saw from this kid. 6 for 10, 37 passing yards. He also had a rushing touchdown as well for the Ravens. I know Josh Johnson threw more passing yards, but I thought Devin Leary did a really good job. I know this is kind of a little bit of a backup quarterback competition on who's going to be the backup quarterback for Lamar Jackson. I know Josh Johnson's the more experienced guy, but I think Devin Leary showed some better things today. He was more efficient, throwing 6 for 10, while Josh Johnson was 4 for 12. Sure, we saw Josh Johnson throw a total of 25, more passing yards, but he also threw 12. He also threw 12 throws compared to Devin Leary's 10, and we're comparing a veteran who's been around the league for a long time and comparing him to a rookie. And not only that, but Devin Leary had a rushing touchdown in this game, which was the only touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think his 37 passing yards and better efficiency, throwing 6 for 10 with a rushing touchdown, is better than throwing 4 for 12 with 62 passing yards. So not a bad debut for the rookie Devin Leary. And I think when I mentioned there were a couple of players that showed out in this game, I'm talking about for the Ravens, Devin Leary, who I thought was good at quarterback. For the Eagles, Will Shipley, who I thought was good at running back. So 2 rookies in my head are, who are guys that are making an impact early on that I liked what I saw. But yeah, Josh Johnson and Devin Leary play at quarterback. They only throw for 82 passing yards, so things ain't looking great at the backup quarterback position for the Ravens. You better hope Lamar doesn't get hurt. I'm just kidding. Maybe they should potentially think about signing a backup quarterback because Lamar has some injury problems in the past. But for rushing yards besides the Ravens, there wasn't anything really else outside of Owen Wright. Outside of Kendall Milton, Tyron Davis-Price, who's been around the league for a couple years now, had 6 carries for 34 rushing yards. While Kenneth Gainwell actually got to play a little bit with 4 carries for 23 rushing yards. And then we saw Will Shipley, the rookie, who I really liked, had 7 carries for 23 rushing yards, and Lou Nicholas had 7 carries for 21 rushing yards and 1 touchdown, and Kenny Pickett even had 4 rushing yards. Eagles had 146 rushing yards compared to the Ravens' 82, while they had more passing yards at 113 compared to 82 in this game as well. Now receiving yards. The Ravens, outside Dayton Wade with 27 receiving yards. Tylan Wallace had 2 receptions for 26 receiving yards, and that was really the only big name that made an impact, or bigger name that made an impact for the Ravens on the receiving end. Outside of John Ross for the Eagles with 3 receptions for 28 receiving yards, Will Shipley, outside of his 7-yard touchdown reception, that was it. Anybody else that made an impact for them? Britton Covey had 4 receptions, or Cave had 4 receptions for 25 receiving yards, while Jacob Harris had 2 receptions for 16 receiving yards. Fumbles in this game. There was one fumble that was lost, and that was Emory Jones, and it was recovered by Patrick Johnson. And then defensive stats, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. had the most tackles for the Eagles at 6 with 1 sack. The Eagles as a team had 3 sacks and 3 tackles for loss. 1 sack for Patrick Johnson, 1 sack for Nolan Smith Jr., who I think will have a big year for the Eagles defense, and then Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as well. For the Ravens, they had 2 sacks in this game, a half a sack for Tremel Wathler and C.J. Ravenel, and then 1 sack for Demarion Williams. They had 3 tackles for loss. No interceptions for this game for either teams, so no interceptions thrown. But the Eagles get a win 16-3 thanks to Jake Elliott kicking a 49-yard field goal. Will Shipley from Clemson looked good, and Kenny Pickett looked good as well. And for the Ravens, quarterback from Kentucky, Devin Leary looked good, and some other players for the Ravens looked good as well. Let me know your thoughts on the Eagles getting the 16-13 win in the comment section, and peace out.